Greetings and welcome to a Friday edition of the Shotgun Start. It is November 8th. Andy, how we doing?
Brendan, I'm getting reports this morning. Hot reports that a Jacksonville area PGA Tour superstore is completely sold out of ballfrogs hats.
Is that true?
Or Hilton Head, not Jacksonville.
Oh, Hilton. I was going to say. How many were there? What's the connection between Hilton Head and, I mean, Hilton Head, as you know, is just a bastion for Midwest migration. You know, Ohio people just are always down there mucking around. A little bit of Indiana, Pennsylvania, the formerly Blue Wall, as I heard on Tuesday, I guess. I'm surprised there would be Boston fans down there.
Well, I'm looking at this photo that was sent to me. It looks like there's about, 6 to 8 of Jupiter Lynx, the Bay, and LA. No ball frogs.
Well, maybe they just know they don't like that. That kind of people going to Hilton Head have no time for the mass holes. That's just not going to be their natural inclination.
Very much. Look, there's a slot where the hats are supposed to be. It's sold out.
Oh, all right.
You can't tell me otherwise. There's Ball Frogs t-shirts. There's less Ball Frogs t-shirts. Jupiter Lynx has sold, based off this photo, Jupiter Lynx has sold more t-shirts than the Ball Frogs, but there are no available Ball Frogs.
Can I be honest? Can I be honest about something? And we don't get real navel gazing. We're just a bunch of idiots. We're nobodies. I would think you've done more for the Ball Frogs brand and why anyone would buy this as a gag and our little bits here about the Ball Frogs than the actual underlying substantive product, logo, team, players, and association.
More than their social media accounts.
And I'm truly not trying to be navel gazy or self-indulgent here. Fine, you tell us this is insane. But why is anybody buying this? Except for some podcast gag so far. So far. Could be a great thing in a month or two. I don't know. Or the other people on social media having fun with it. I know Claire Rogers and others have had fun with it. Go ahead.
People want to be in on the ground floor or something. That's what it is, Brendan.
Come to me. Come with Jupiter Lynx.
How about Rory? Rory's getting ready for sim season. He's not even watching ball flights. He's just hitting balls into the screen. He's getting ready. He's saying this is a swing change that he's working on. It's very clear he's getting ready for TGL season. This is going to be the new norm of professional golfers in the fall. The new norm is going to be we aren't watching the ball fly. We're hitting it into the simulator, getting ready for TGL season.
Do you have his comments anywhere? I mean, he made a lot of comments. What did he say? He didn't want to see where the ball. If I go to hit balls on the range, I'm just going to react to whatever ball flight I've just seen. So he just wants to work on the swing change.
A very smart, astute comment here. You're natural, it's almost
maybe
impossible.
Not the smartest man in the world, but a smart one nonetheless.
It's a very normal reaction that, if you're on the range working on something, you react to every single swing because you see a ball might move 5 extra yards right than you're accustomed, or left, and right or left, the election season could but your natural reaction is going to be I need to do this or this. If you just hit balls in a net, as a northerner accustomed to hitting balls in a dome all winter, I always felt like I came out of the dome really well, where I could only see 50 yards of flight. I wasn't getting paranoid about the last, last 50 yards of flight, right? I was more worried about the window it was coming out of and the way everything felt. So I think this is actually a pretty smart, it's really hard to make any sizable swing change if you're really worried about the flight. So I do think this is a pretty smart move by Rory, just hitting balls into the screen. Plus, it's going to be, I think playing sim golf for real golfers is an adjustment. So he's going to be ready to go for sim golf.
So he's 3 weeks. Apparently, he was doing this. He was sort of like not
While
locked,
he was in
but
New York.
locked into. Why was he in New York? What do you mean?
This is when he was doing it.
Oh, okay, all right. Yeah. So he's just essentially not looking at anything for 3 weeks, but the swinging in the lab
in the city, not going to golf courses, just hammering away in the lab.
Okay. Can I make like just my dream come true for the TGL season screen golf? So allegedly this is like a big screen. It's like a movie theater screen. It's not like your club champion.
I've seen the social media. They've put some comparisons up, but it's not as big as Jerry's screen.
That first time, it's like 40 yards away, right? It's not like 10 in front of you. That first time, and it's going to happen. Somebody's going to miss the screen. It's going to I know these are all elite, top of the line. They're not shank and shot, but it's going to happen. I need the ball to miss the screen or whatever the registration zone is on that screen. Like that is my dream come true for TGL. I don't know who's going to do it. Could be who like has like Webb Simpson shanks in this league. I can't remember. Lucas I'm trying to think of who occasionally catches one a little thick off the turf or something, or real grass. I can't remember, whatever it is they got. That's my dream come true. Not possible when it's only 10 yards in front of you, really, like Rory's been doing. But
I got great news for you. If you're interested in TGL content, maybe this could be part of Design Disasters. Your little design disasters.
Do we have more holes?
Every Thursday, they're going to release a new hole. So this is just
Thursday. That's what I'm going to call it. Thirsty Thursday. TGL.
There's not going to be enough content for a 3-day-a-week golf podcast. Well, TGL's releasing a new hole every Thursday. Let's talk about the brilliant minds at Nicholas Design. You have no limits. You're building literally make-believe holes. Let's talk about the Hatchet that's released this Thursday. You can find this on TGL's. You can find this on TGL Social. All right.
Hatchet is not a word that connotes something good, and especially in like design. Like take a hatchet to it. All right, go ahead.
All right, we've designed a hole with like effectively a split fairway divided by a ridge in the fairway.
PJ,
all right, cool concept.
Me this so I can look at it while he's talking. Okay,
cool
go ahead.
Concept. The hole's 448 yards. So the idea is, listen, you need to be on the right or the left side of the fairway based off of, where the hole location might be on a day. Well, I've got news for you, brilliant minds at Jack Nicklaus Design. The hole's not fucking long enough. It's 448 yards. You're pretty much, boxed in by a green design. And sides of fairways do not matter unless these guys are hitting like 4 irons. There's plenty of data out there. At 448 yards, everybody's going to hit it 300 yards plus in this league, probably 320. That leaves you 150 yards into the green or less. That's a wedge. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter right, where.
Left.
So you just gave them a 70-yard wide fairway with a 275-yard carry over a cross bunker. Pretty much the most boring hole you could possibly design for screen golf. Thank you. These esteemed architects at Nicholas Design have created another masterpiece.
Why is it called Hatchet? I'm looking at it now.
Well, I think it's because the fairway kind of looks like a hatchet.
I guess.
But I don't understand how someone came up with this hole and thought it would be an interesting, like a fascinating hole for screen golf. Like you literally, the Pisa hole was idiotic.
At least
in its
it looks
own right.
goofy, though.
Yes,
at least
it was provocative.
This looks like it could be in any new build, and it's just there's trees, there's sand. Make it truly screen golf. That's what I appreciate about Augie Pisa. Just making it like this is a preposterous meta world or whatever we're in. I love it. I would like to reemphasize the one about the 2 pizza slices inverted.
You want the temple? I believe that's the temple.
So you're launching over the pinch point. Of course you are. You're just wailing away with 285. Yeah, they're going to carry at that. But I just want to reemphasize, like you're penalizing the layup. Like, why would you lay up to where it pinches in? The correct, the bottom pizza slice. Like I have penalized for the layup.
Well, if you hit it
Just putt it off the mat into the widest part. Like, well, this is what it's promoting. The layup to be farther and farther back. That's where I also want to just, we'll call that out. TGL Thirsty Thursday.
So it's 286. It's the most narrow. 264. This is Temple.
Okay.
This is last week's hole. This is released on Halloween.
So you're
the most aggressive shot. This is just so contrary. The most aggressive shot is rewarded with the widest fairway. Which, like, I think, like, I actually think this hole. I've done like a 180. I was shown this hole in a conference call. I'm going to be completely, it pays to be honest. I was walked through this hole.
It's a good conference call. That was a good.
And I was walked through this hole, and I was told that Rory McIlroy's eyes lit up when he saw this design. And like it was connoted as like, this is a great hole design. And I said, well, yeah, of course. If I was Rory McIlroy, my eyes would light up too, because I'm one of like 5 players in the world that can carry the ball 320 reliably.
Right
so
over.
I could just hit it into the widest part all the time. So yes, I would love this hole. I would love a hole that effectively makes anybody that can't carry it 320 hit it dink 250, and they're left. It's a 500-yard hole. They're left with 250 into the hole.
But isn't everybody going to want to do that? Because the 250 shot is more penalized because of its pinch there at the bottom.
It pinches at like 280.
Right, so but it gets more increasingly narrow.
So the most narrow is 280. The most wide, so it widens out at 320. It pinches in at 260. So you got to either hit it 320 or 250. Those are the choices.
I think you got to hit it 320 or hit like an 8-iron and then try to hit a 3-wood. I don't know. I don't know what. Or it's like penalizing the layup more than anything.
These anyways. But anyways, why I think this is a good hole in the grand scheme of things. Why I think the Temple hole. So of course Rory's going to love it, but here's the strategy. Is you set who, if it's an alternate shot hole, they know it's coming an alternate shot, you have to set your lineup so you have Rory McIlroy teeing off on this hole. That's why it's an interesting hole. It's like a great all shot hole where you have to set your lineups the right way.
Way to land the plane.
Pisa actually understands the prompt. Nicholas designed an awful hole, just an awful hole like they would design at one of their many awful golf courses. It's a terrible hole.
Hey, while we're on Design Minute here and Thirsty Thursday, I was reading Shackelford's newsletter this morning, Jeff's Quadrilateral. You can subscribe to that after you subscribe to the Fried Egg, the package deal. Although you got to pay for Jeff's, and you should pay for Jeff's. But a little nugget at the bottom.
It's a good deal.
Good deal. Tom Fazio on damage to Augusta National's 16th green. Did you read this yet this morning?
Yeah.
Quote, having trees fall on your green, what does that mean? You pick up the trees, you fill in the divots and holes they left. Then you resod and you're ready to go. Jeff Shackelford annotates it with the finger on chin thinking man emoji. Okay. So that's what I'm saying. I guess Foz is you pick up the trees, you fill in the divots, you resod, and that's all that's it. So they're not rebuilding the green. Is that a minimizing, simplistic way on what's done? Or do you agree with the Foz here on this one?
I mean,
I was amused at Shackelford's emoji annotation more than anything.
My guess, right. And I think this is I guess you could say Augusta National is not going to ever talk about their damages, right?
Yeah. Significant trees down from Helene.
Significant trees down, but I think the damage to their community that they're in is so much greater.
I think they've done well to prioritize and not talk about that themselves.
If you look at that picture from Eureka Earth, right?
Yeah.
There's a tree. One of the great trees behind 15 green is down. tons of trees. Basically, all the trees around the tree that fell a couple years ago by 17T, all gone.
Yeah.
Trees are gone down the right of 15. Like there are just trees down everywhere. Now, like when it comes to the green, these are monster trees.
Tall.
It's not a divot. Like with rain in one of those trees, like the ground's soft, it's going to require you to get in there.
You
like
don't
sand,
think there's
you're gonna have to do some work.
You don't think there's 20 guys out there with ball mark tools, just like plopping it back up, just popping it in? That's what
Hey, I don't want to be mean here. I got to get back to this Nicholas design. I'm thinking about it more. Like, I mean, like I think like nothing might embody a golf architecture crew more than this hole right here.
Hatchet.
Like they've created, so designing this hole for like the metaverse, right? This is, but it's like it just embodies everything wrong with Nicholas design. It's 275 to carry the bunker.
Okay.
If you carry the bunkers, it's like 70 yards wide up there.
Right.
Now, like if normal people were playing this hole, obviously they might play up a little bit, but like the people that can't afford, can't carry the bunker, the fairway's like 25 yards wide, and there's bunkers on the right and left side. Like these are completely irrelevant bunkers for anybody that has like a 112 mile an hour ball speed or swing speed. Have a little like these bunkers are completely irrelevant, and yet for the regular person, this is just it's like a hole that would just beat the shit out of you. There's a pond in front. No pro's ever going to hit in this pond. It's 20 yards removed from the green. This is literally an abominable golf hole. Like just an awful golf hole that I cannot believe somebody paid for. They paid for this golf hole.
They paid what? Bitcoin? What did they do in the metaverse to pay for it?
I have heard that Bitcoin's at an all-time high.
I think they paid they paid real money. Obviously, these design firms were contracted to create holes for the TGL. So there was real money paid.
There needs to be somebody on the other side that says, this is dog shit. This is awful. This is a bad golf hole. Go back and get me a new one.
This is our social media cutout, PJ. We have the visual assets. I want people to go to Instagram, Shotgun Start Instagram. If you want to see these lakes and the bunkers that only penalize the duffer and not the pros that are actually playing the TGL, go to Shotgun Start Instagram. We will then co-opt it onto Design Disasters because you just did it right here, and then you outlined it perfectly. You need the visual aids with Hatchet here, par 4. Coming to
and TGL. I'm sorry to be negative, but the piece of hole is cool because it's so ridiculous.
I do appreciate and I thought Bo Welling did something like that with, he's just got this giant canyon that with his extra fairway that there's no way to get to the fairway, but you don't have to get to the fairway. You're in the metaverse. You're just slapping it over there and reloading if you can. Yeah. I mean, it was extreme and I don't want to say it's like golden tee deals, but might as well kind of lean into it, being a little bit wacky.
There should be a mixture of truly like crazy holes and then like really badass holes. This hole's like straight up out of like your shitty $175 golf course that's masquerading as a masterpiece.
Turtle Point.
Yeah, you can find this hole at Turtle Point. Actually, this was pre-Jack Nicklaus, like getting behind trends created by other people and designing with any width. If you put this hole could be at Turtle Point if you remove the right fairway and just continue.
The blade. The blade of the hatchet.
Continue just bunkers up the right side. It would just be absolutely perfect for Turtle Point. Move the trees in a little bit, and then you got a Turtle Point hole.
OB. You need a little more OB.
Yeah.
All right. That's
all right.
Good.
Designed that's TGL 20 minutes on TGL for you.
You're gonna get some emails on that.
That's fine.
All right.
Fine. It seems like they haven't been able to confirm that Ludwig was in the Bay.
We're on it.
So I feel like I've been emboldened that Ludwig has never visited the Bay Area.
Hey, so they paid money for this hole. If you want to pay real money digitally, you can connect and go to Stripe. Any businesses, our business, we use Stripe.com for our billing services and our
use
transactions.
We're small. This is a global payments leader. Stripe serves more than 2 million businesses of all sizes, including global giants like Alaska Airlines, Hertz, and PGA. And it powers 1% of the global GDP. That's kind of crazy. Stripe powers 1% of the global
Not more
GDP.
than 1%.
1%. Yeah. And they do all kinds of different payments, like payment types. They could be just like transactional, or they could be, on usage based or monthly subscriptions. Stripe Billing is that product. And it helps more than 300,000 businesses. That's in just the Stripe Billing. That's more than anybody else grow with advanced billing software to handle even the most complex business models. Whether the company needs a flat rate monthly subscription, usage-based billing, invoicing, or anything in between, Stripe Billing helps businesses grow with smarter recurring revenue management. That's all the rage, recurring revenue management. So 80% of SaaS companies either already charge or plan to charge based on usage. So this is a great subscription service. This billing product can handle that for you. So if you want to learn more about Stripe, go to stripe.com.
All righty. That's a way to conduct a business. I love that. I love Stripe. They've been great for us. Just everybody loves business, and they're a great way to conduct it. You talked about Rory McIlroy, his eyes lighting up when he saw the pizza hole, the pizza, the inverted pizza slices. Apparently his eyes lit up about the election results. He was asked to comment, and he's always asked to comment about everything. In addition to his swing changes, he was hours after the election results came in the United States. He's in Dubai or Abu Dhabi. He's asked about it.
He was basically like the first commenter.
Everybody went to bed except
Everybody woke up
on
to
golf.
this comment. It was like the election got called at 5:45 in the morning, and his comment was in at 3 in the morning.
He was asked about the Sun report that they're on the 1 yard line. He's like, it's the first I've heard of it. I mean, I guess I have a call tonight with the transaction subcommittee. I'd be shocked if I hear that, but maybe I have. Maybe I will. So then he went to the election. He said the result with Donald Trump winning the election, quote unquote, clears the way for a PGA Tour PIF deal to more smoothly move through the DOJ inquiry, scrutiny, approval process. He's received some criticism for this. He then suggested, if Trump could back up claims of brokering, this is from Shaq's newsletter, golf piece in 15 minutes. I'm reading the quote. He might be able to. He's got Elon Musk, who I think is the smartest man in the world beside Trump, that is. We might be able to do something if we can get Musk involved too. I think from the outside looking in, it's probably a little less complicated than it actually is. But obviously, Trump has a great relationship with Saudi Arabia. He's got a great relationship with golf. He's a lover of golf, so maybe, who knows? But I think as president of the United States, again, he's probably got bigger things to focus on than golf. Saved himself maybe a little bit there at the end. I just think he swerved into a landmine here that he didn't need to.
So.
Eamon Lynch had a pretty good column out today about he opened his mouth and got himself in trouble. I don't know if he believes this about Elon or not, or I think his points on the Trump maybe making it easier to get through DOJ are not inaccurate. It put a priority on a thing that who gives a shit about the PIF PGA Tour deal right now. But I guess that Rory's a golfer. He's being asked about that. Sort of the book on Rory, not the book on, that's not unfair. Like, he's asked to talk a lot and comment on everything. I think he's naturally curious, inquisitive, intellectual guy who seeks out opinions of a lot of people, and sometimes, just regurgitates some of the last things he heard from some of those people, and whether they're smart or he's naturally seeking those out. And so and then he's asked to talk all the time, so he ends up in front of the microphone and he contradicts himself or could say things that you weren't expecting. Is that fair to say? I don't want to put it to you necessarily, but it feels like he was put on the spot here really fast, and he swerved into a landmine that he should have been smarter to avoid, especially with the Elon and Trump DOJ stuff. It just makes, as Eamon said, or I think even Shaq said, it makes them look sort of self-absorbed golfer, giving a shit about what gets more money into purses fastest based on this election.
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously a lot of people who have very strong political allegiances, thoughts, feelings are going to be polarized by this comment. If you're on the left, and yes, on Tuesday was a bad day because Kamala Harris lost, you're going to be like, oh, fuck Rory. Can't believe he's thinking about this. All the, and then if you're on the right and you love golf and you love Elon Musk and Trump, you're probably like, oh, hell yeah. That's just the way politics work. Right. Am I?
Yeah, I think that's maybe minimizing some things a little bit. I'd say this is unwise. These are pretty dumb comments. I would say the swerve to Elon is a hard swerve. I think the DOJ Trump thing is a factual golfer.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say is there was an article in the New York Times by Gabby Herzig that was on New York Times homepage that basically said this 3 weeks ago. So all he's saying is what the reality of the situation is. And whether you agree with him with the Elon thing or disagree vehemently, which is listen, that's everybody's personal opinion, and anybody can formulate a personal opinion. What Rory consistently does is that he goes up and talks and tells people what he thinks. And he tells the same thing that he would say behind closed doors is what he tells media. And I get criticizing him if his views don't line up with your views, but there has to be an appreciation that Rory, unlike everybody else on that tour, actually tells you what he thinks in the moment. A lot of pros wouldn't have said I've been hitting balls into a screen without seeing ball flight for 3 weeks. They would just be if somebody asked him about the swing change, they'd be like, oh yeah, I'm working on something. He actually lifts up the veil to tell people what what he's doing and what he thinks. So I don't know. I think we've got this vacuum. And it's there's no it's one of the things that I do not want to get political. One of the things that frustrates me with politics is you're either on this side or this side, and there's no middle ground, and it's fucking ridiculous. There's room for nuance across the board, right? And I think he's being vilified by one side, praised by the other side, and I get it's a bad day, but what is he supposed to say? He basically answered the question with what he thought.
Yeah,
is it the right time? Was it the right time?
Bots who've hated him or Elon Trump people who've hated him are now praised and they hate him yesterday. That's just what I'm getting at. The Elon thing was an unnecessary swerve, and that's what I mean when it's dumb that way. Whether you agree with the substance or not, you're just swerving into traffic for that one.
All he's doing though is saying what he
the smartest
thinks.
Guy in the world. Yeah,
maybe he does, and that's fine if that's his opinion. Elon Musk has built some pretty incredible businesses. Is he the smartest? I don't know. I think it's impossible to measure who the smartest person in the world is. But
I agree.
It's whether you hate him or not, it's impressive some of the things he's done in his life. And I understand why people would hate him, and I understand why people love him. I understand both sides of the coin. And that's like, I think like what's going on in the world right now, it's frustrating in the sense of like, you know what? Like there are like, we do not have to run to the extreme worst outcome on either side of this thing or best outcome. Like, I want to be clear.
We're talking about Elon and politics now. I disagree with some of that. I agree with some of it, but I don't know that it's fit for our
Well, that's the point. Everything's agree or disagree.
I think
and
both
I think
sides in things are sort of mitigates the extremes sometimes when say both sides do it, you know. But
well, that's why when you just play down the middle, you don't ever have to make a decision.
That's why I designed Hatchet.
That's right.
There's no.
You could just aim.
I'm more of a
middle.
Hatchet. Just be more of a Hatchet guy, where there's really no penalty. There's no risk for doing anything. Just boom, wedge. All right. Yeah. Rory's comments. I think they were just shockers for people who agree with them or disagree. What? Shockers. Like, holy shit. I love this. Wow. I didn't expect this. Oh my God. I'm so mad. I think that was just shocking to wake up to.
That's the thing. Because he made a comment about, if he made any sort of comment with any sort of political tie, this is what I'm just trying to say. If he made a comment with any sort of political leaning, it was going to get half the world outraged at that moment. So maybe he should have just said nothing. But if he said nothing and he always said nothing, he'd just be another boring professional golfer.
As Eamon wrote, Image took a hit Wednesday, overshadowed by the feeling that everyone now just has a, quote, piff vision, that he sounds just like another voice in the chorus asking, what's in it for me? He knows some questions are best answered with a shrug, and your guess is as good as mine deflection. This was obviously one of those situations. But so he does know how to do that. He's gone to majors and said, I'm not talking today. Or what? Okay, he's like, yeah. Nope. Yes to everything. So
hold on. His comments, none of his comments were like, yeah, I'm about to get rich. There was no tone of like, oh, like, yeah, a deal is more likely. He said something extremely factual. What people took offense to was his comment about Trump and Elon. Let's be clear.
Yeah, totally. And I think he actually saved himself from saying by saying the president's got more important things to do at the end of it. Like, yes. He did add that context.
Like, he just, all he said was like, yeah, the deal's probably more likely with Trump in office. That's all he said.
Yeah, I agree. News. Or let's go. Oh, please tell me. Yes, the Desert Fox still in first, down in Diamante in the sand. Martin Laird leading the Worldwide Technology Championships. I won Game Within the Game MLB, low MLB sponsored player. I win that. I gave you first choice. Cam Young, WDs.
How about
Billy Andre, the Billy Boy. I love that. I love it. WDs, money is still, the ticket is still valid in this Game Within the Game counter. Billy Andre's 2 over through 6. Do we have any shot tracker data on Billy Boy, where he's going? I was looking at pictures of him from like 1988. He was on I think it was the 87 or 89 Walker Cup team, captained by Fred Ridley, Bob Lewis, some other legends. Yeah, no shot trails data on down in Mexico. Couldn't get the what's their shot tracker down there.
No,
to Mexico. Can't.
So, they got to wait for the PIF money to do that. That's when they'll be able to get the machines around, move the machines. They'll be able to afford the freight bill to get the machines everywhere.
He's tied with Taylor Montgomery, your guy who you're just crushing last Monday with your data analysis.
You know what must
greatest putting year of all time.
Must be a really rigorous tee to green resort course. I think this is one of the I believe this is a course that has that's just very, very unpunishing. It's just like
Tiger's masterpiece.
Fun. It's a masterpiece.
I was actually told by someone who knows, who's like a regular there, that it's like considered the second course to like the DL3 course there. The Dunes course is like the one that everybody is like the jewel or something. But this is the tour stop course.
This is one. I guess both of them, DL3 and Tiger, are legends of the tour. But one they are, holding out hope for chasing 83 that they could do for a couple years. Just wait till his TGL win gets his first TGL win gets.
That's your early Mexico check-in or El Cardinal check-in. DP World Tour, which, this is going to change by the time you wake up Friday. Fleetwood opened with a 10 under. He's leading. The Piss Bear Bear better watch himself. They don't serve in Abu Dhabi, I believe. Maybe in the hotels, right? But you got to watch yourself. You're going to end up, with some... You can get punished. You can lose an appendage if you're doing what he's doing over there.
Can I suggest something to really watch here?
Yeah.
T4 Rory Cantor. We've got.
Is he going to get his card?
One of the great things looming. I think he was like 15th, so he needs to move up 5 spots, which seems like something that's able to be done at this time of year. If he gets his card, despite never being a PGA Tour member, he will be suspended until like March. Just like an incredible situation. Like, talk about just a ridiculous. It's like, it'd be like, you're not born yet, but you come into the earth and you're going to jail for something. Never was a member. I'm in college. I made a decision while I was in college. I didn't know what I was going to do after college. And you immediately are suspended by your workforce.
Rory is 5 under with his new swing. We got out from the screen golf, and he's 5 under immediately into real golf. He's 5 under. So that's your early Abu Dhabi. Rolex
Matt Jordan's playing well. He's got to be pretty close. I think he's had a good year. I thought
Jordan Smith was the one that was close. We're on the Jordan zone. Thought he was having a good year, right? Isn't he on the border of the top 10, if I'm not
Matt
mistaken?
Jordan definitely isn't.
Okay.
Rory Cantor right now is 18th.
Okay. Brittany Lincecum is retiring. So that's news on the LPGA. Won 2 what would be Dinah Shore's ANA Inspirations out there in Palm Springs. Had a bunch of top 10s, 20-year career, like 6 Solheim Cups, really a stalwart of American women's golf for 2 decades. She's retiring, well deserved and earned. Walker Cup invitees were sent out. Had Brentley and other amateur experts all in a tizzy, excited about that one. We could run through them or not. Evan Beck, your recent Mid-Am champion. Parker Bell, Blades Brown, really getting into some amateur golf name. Parker, Blades, Luke Clanton, Ethan Fain, Stuart Hagestad, Max Herendine, Ben James, Noah Kent, Jackson Coyvin.
Hold on. You forgot to mention something. Max Herendine, University of Illinois, great.
Sure.
Star. University of Illinois star.
He's that's the kid from Washington who can't hit it more than 250. Is he the one that was?
No.
That was the other one.
That's he's a bomber. He's a big boy.
Okay.
He's a big boy. He's a burly boy.
But he's the guy from Washington.
Favorite. Yeah, Bellevue.
That he wasn't a top recruit, right? But Smalls made him into a stud, right?
He was well thought of, but not like. I think one of the things is that's crazy if you follow Illinois golf. The hundreds,
which is
dozens of us.
Oh my God, I can't believe
the Tobias Fuke. There are dozens of us. The thing about it is Small just turns these guys into PGA Tour pros, and it's there are a lot of programs that get a lot of great players that don't improve them.
Are you getting a kickback for this? You're using their platform to recruit. We got to talk about Syracuse, BC, PJ football game within the game this weekend. An old Big East clash. Really, the only 2 Division I programs forever that were above, certain Northeast. Battle for a lot of recruits. Now in the Atlantic Coast Conference with Cal and Stanford and others. But we got a big game. We need to do a mayor's bet on that one.
I was looking at the basketball schedule for Cal, my hometown team here.
Yeah.
I think Syracuse and BC visit Cal.
There you go. You have to go.
You guys are going to have to come out.
Your hometown team, Atlantic
You
Coast
know,
Conference.
you know what's the even better part about it?
What?
Both games happen on Saturdays that are the first of the month.
Oh my gosh. What an incredible
February
coincidence
1st
we have here.
and March 1st.
BC was in a battle Citadel the other day. So
I thought you
could
were
be
a
tough
basketball school.
We were when I was there. Big Tex, Sean Williams, Craig Smith, Jared Dudley. We were good. All right, we'll figure out stakes.
Did you see Illinois' freshman drop 32?
No. Oh, congrats.
Season opener.
Congrats.
Will Riley. Well, exciting times for Illinois hoops. Reloaded.
Jax, the listeners in Australia and Wales are going to love this. Jackson Coyven, Michael Lasasso, Brian Lee, Big Tom Morrison, Jace Summy from Oklahoma, Jace Summy. I don't know if that's short for Jason. Brendan Valdez from Auburn, the kid from Auburn, Jackson Van Paris from Vandy. This is just, scouting sessions. There, of course, you get the privilege to play at Cypress Point in a Walker Cup next year, but the scouting sessions, I believe, are at MacArthur, Seminole, and maybe Bears Club. I mean, that is just all these fancy amateurs going down, and they get to play some of the primo white shoe places down in South Florida for their little scouting trip. That's a good gig, and then you get to play Cypress. Nathan Smith is going to be your captain. He already signed on for Hinch next time as well. Go ahead.
Can I present a potential conflict of interest? Big Tom Morris. Are we sure he's not a double agent?
For GB&I because of his father or his great-grandfather, old Tom?
Great-grandfather, old Tom. Are we worried? Do you think he can be trusted on the Walker Cup team?
I think he can. He's from around here, Tommy Morrison. Went to grade school around here. So I'll have to corroborate if old Tom has roots.
If he's got his thumb on scale, GBI team's going to be getting trade secrets from him.
I don't think that's the case. That's your update. That's your news. I don't think we need to do a lot more. There's some comments from Guy Kinnings that I enjoyed. A long-range Martin Dempster feature I read earlier this week. But we'll just move on.
Just a Guy Kinnings?
Well, all right. Here I go. He said, and this was the one that jumped out to me when I read it this week. It says, whenever people say, quote, "you are a feeder tour," I reply, "no, we are not." Well, I would hope so. Have a look at what this tour is with unbelievable national opens with so much history. I agree. It is part of it. If part of it is to feed talent through, then absolutely. Because it allows the best talent in the world to come through in the game, and that will always be a result. You see the winner of the Asia Pacific Am, Wenye Ding, we saw that he's going to the Challenge Tour, and that's because people see the benefit of that being a pathway. And that, in turn, should improve the quality of golf and golfers on what is the global tour. I agree with that, but when you talk about pathway, you say, that is feed. That is feed. Paths feed into, it is. I know that feels like derogatory, and maybe it is. And I agree with them on the National Opens and history and great talents, and I love the DP World Tour, and it should be, I wish it were on it as equal footing as the PGA Tour, like the golden era. It's not. And I just think he contradicts himself when he says we're not a feeder tour, but then talks about it being a pathway of some sort. So
it's the best feeder tour in the world.
It's great. I love the DP World Tour. That was my only quibble.
The best feeder tour in the world, and it just doesn't want to be known as a feeder tour. Still have,
which I understand.
It's like the five stages of acceptance that you're a feeder tour. He's still in the rejection phase.
Let's get to SGS golf advice. This is brought to you by Club Champion. If you need advice, go to on your and get dialed in on your equipment. You need advice. You want a little something more. You're like Rory. You got to figure it out. Now's the time. I got to focus. I'm not out there playing 5 times a week like it's, June, July.
Who has good screens to hit into?
The best screens. Well,
maybe not TGL screens.
Well,
They've told
nobody
us,
has TGL screens.
They've made it aware that their screen is better than everybody else's.
Only the best screens, only the worst holes for the best screens, apparently.
Hatchet.
That's what they're going with.
I wonder if you could play the Hatchet hole at Club Champion.
I doubt it. It seems proprietary.
Be a great, honestly, if you've got a little speed, if you've got a little pop in the bat, that's a great hole to build your confidence. Just
whoo, right over the 275 bunker. Into
right into the fairway. Here's your wedge. Here, hand you your wedge. Hit it onto the green. Hit it onto the rather benign bunkered green.
Club Champion, I don't believe has holes. Maybe they do. Maybe they set them up. But when I went, it was just an open range with the top of the line track man, a master fitter. They had me dialed in 65,000 hittable head and shaft combos under expert guidance. You might think like, that's too many. How do I pick? I'm sort of overwhelmed with the options. Well, you have guidance there. Master fitter, he takes a look at your speed, your swing. Says, let's limit it from 65,000 down to these combos. And you start going through them. And they'll work with you any amount of time. You tighten your dispersion, you gain yardage. I think they have the stats to back this up. Let me make sure I'm right. I don't have. Golfers over 20 extra yards off the tee on average, fitted golfers find those. So you go to clubchampion.com, use a promo code fried egg. You get $100 off with a full bag fitting, or $50 off with any other type of fitting with an equipment purchase. So you got to buy something, and you're going to probably buy something. You get dialed in. So $100 off with the equipment purchase on the full bag fitting, or $50 off on any other type of fitting with the equipment purchase. Use the promo code FRIEDEGG at clubchampion.com. This is the time to do it, or maybe gift it with gifting season coming. All right, let's go to sgsgolfadvice@gmail.com. We are storing these up. We got a bunch of these coming in. This one comes from a friend of the program. 30-something female, no kids, semi-interested in verbally fighting. All right, I like that. My husband and I were the second tee time of the day on a Sunday morning. We were both walking using push carts and played the front nine about an hour and a half. Admirable. Love it.
Great.
The group walking in front of us picked up after the front nine. The group walking in front of us picked up after the front nine, so it's
picked
opens
up the pace or picked
I
up?
think it seemed like bailed after nine. On the 11th hole, a twosome on a cart jumps in front of us. We were a little peeved since we were flying on the back nine. By the time we get to the 15th hole, we end up having to wait for them. I start grumbling to my husband because I don't have the patience. We try passively aggressively making our presence known by standing on the tee box waiting, hand on the hip stance. But overall, just going about our business. By the 17th hole, I had fairly fired up and start thinking of what I want to say to these guys at the end of the round if there's an interaction. My husband looks at me and says, I think one of the gentlemen has a prosthetic leg. There's a hard right turn. Now I feel like a jerk. However, these guys didn't book a tee time. They hopped in front of us and see us waiting behind them on every shot. They did pick up on the 18th hole when they saw us waiting on our approach shots. Okay, so the last approach of the day. No confrontation was had, but I feel like a jerk for even thinking about saying something. On the other hand, just book a tee time. What would you have done?
This is an epidemic in golf. Like the idea of jumping in front of someone. If you jump in front of someone, they cannot wait on you ever.
You have to be unequivocally out of the way.
And there's this cart culture that they think they're going to play faster than you because they're in a cart.
No.
But like if you jump in front of people that are like well-equipped walkers, like that understand how to play golf and walk, and you just constantly moving, it's going to be really hard for even a twosome in a cart to stay in front of them. Because like if the golf course is like built for walking, like it's just like you're gonna have to drive around. The cart is always left in wrong places, like, and walking is like so fast. It's a hard decision on what to do. I think you could say something politely, is like, hey, I know that you probably thought you were faster being in a cart, but it was really rude to jump in front of us and it disrupted our day. I don't know. What do you think? I think it's okay to say something, but you have to do it very politely, because like people like, I mean, it's just like a hard situation to deal with.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, it's not ideal what you've run into. I think you say something. I think it's an objectionable behavior. If you get in front of somebody, you get in the way. I think if you are going to jump in front of somebody, you don't have a tee time, and you clearly see people waiting, um, you're allowed to say something like, "Hey, you can't do that. You cannot do that. They have the right of way. They had the tee time. This is the way the traffic works." And so I would say something. Now, if I wouldn't go out of my way. Does that make sense? It seems like they didn't cross paths. There wasn't interaction. She felt bad about the situation. Now, don't like hunt them down in the clubhouse, or don't speed up before they get out of there to berate them. Just let it go at that point. But there is interaction, so like speed it up. I think you have a right to be peeved, as she said in the email. So, all right, you got one? You have anything that you're saying? You had some Ryder Cup tickets.
Yeah, I got a Ryder Cup.
A lot of people.
Probably
a lot
important.
of people sending in whether they face this existential question to spend the $800 or not. I think some did, some did not, but we did get a lot of pictures and emails on that one.
Sadly, nothing funny here. Just a practical question. I think this is a good practical question. I won the opportunity. Okay. I won the opportunity to purchase 4 Ryder Cup tickets via the lottery next week. So this is timely, too.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to go, and I would guess it will be me and another person, wife or friend or someone. So how should I allocate the tickets if I get the chance to choose days? Do I buy 4 for Sunday, or 2 for Saturday and 2 for Sunday? Thanks. I've said this. It's an awful spectating.
Yeah, don't spend your money on it. I mean, are you trying to do this as a...
He's going. He's going to go.
Okay.
He's going to go. I think so. Like, it's like knowing it's a bad spectating sport, bad spectating event. Like, there's just not a lot of groups out there. There's a ton of people, so many people, and it's very hard to see. My suggestion is going to be go with Sunday singles, because there's 12 groups. There are only 4 on the other days. It makes it almost impossible to watch. So Sunday is by far the best day to go. Now, like, you could cut back. Like, Sunday's probably the best day to be on your couch too. And that's the tricky thing here. You have to weigh, like, do I want to watch Sunday from home, or do I want the best on-site viewing experience? The best on-site viewing experience is going to be Sunday there. The other option, I would guess, like, Friday's probably going to be a little bit easier than Saturday. So that would be my other option. But, like, I think, like, as a fan, I went one day. And, like, if you told me, like, here are free tickets tomorrow, I would have been like, no, I'm good, man. So, like, I'm not doing 2 tickets for 2 days. Like, this is, like, I think, like, a lot of people in media, in golf media, have never gone as a fan. I have gone as a fan.
Yeah.
I would not go 2 days. I just, like, the novelty of it wears off after about 2 hours of being there. And you're like, wait, I'm, like, actually just sitting here waiting for a golf shot, or I'm like walking around in hordes of people 6 deep, never seeing golf shots. So,
yep.
Like, it's cool. Like, I get why you're going. It's like a spectacle, and you will have experienced a Ryder Cup in person. If you want the best on-site viewing experience, go Sunday. If you want, like, to be able to, like, I think if you go Friday and watch Saturday, Sunday at home on TV, it's also cool, because, like, that's a nice way to do it too. I think those would be my two selections.
I would just save your money. I guess he's going, though. No matter.
He's going.
I wouldn't go at all, but go Sunday. You're right. I'm just a
Friday. I think Friday is a good option, because, like, you watch it, you know what the atmosphere is, and then you watch it on TV Saturday, Sunday. I think that's a good option too.
Fine.
What do you think, PJ?
Option. I actually had to buy tickets for my dad. Like, I had to get extra ones through the lottery last week, and I was told to get 3 Friday and 1 Sunday. I don't know for what use, but I think the thought, at least in the people that I'm interacting with, is also Saturday is a complete wash, and people are going to be there for the opening tee shot or be there for Sunday singles.
Saturday, people are just going to be hammered, right?
Yes.
You're going to have football going on. You could just toggle between Ryder Cup and college football Saturday. I don't know.
I think that's a great one strategy if you're going to go to this thing is like go pick out a grandstand that's not the first tee.
I don't get the
watch the groups come through. Like I'd pick a grandstand where like approach shots are hit into. Watch the groups come through. Like that's going to be the best way to see actual golf shots, right? Like pick a grandstand where there's an interesting shot. Maybe you could see a couple shots. Like that's like the hardest thing about Ryder Cup. It's just like you can't see anything. I mean, it's hard. No. It's hard sport. It's a hard event to cover inside the ropes.
Yeah, I would agree. You got all the friends and family. So many people. You know, a lot of media too. Probably a lot of us should.
You get a lot of scuttlebutt inside the ropes though, because there's so many people in there.
It's amazing. Some of the people you're walking around with. I'm going to rip through one more. I got to get a proper golf advice. This is from a friend of the program. I'm 51 years old, Gulp. I have no interest in fighting. I figured since you were both caddies, this is an interesting proposition. I figured since you were both caddies at points in your life, I'd run this by you to get your takes on both the lead up to this situation, how to handle the aftermath. So a couple points of advice sought here. A little background. I'm fortunate to be a member of a very nice club on the East Coast. Oh, it's a place that people listening will have heard of, and it's walking only, and caddies are required. I have a few caddies that I use regularly, and if I'm scheduled in advance, I'll request them. However, sometimes I'll just add myself to the tee sheet an hour or two in advance. You just end up with who you end up with. This spring, I hopped onto the tee sheet last minute and was paired with a first season caddy, the one who had worked as a caddy at other places previously. He was a nice guy and someone interested in pursuing a career in my chosen profession. Since I have some decent insights and experience about getting into the line of work, we exchanged numbers. Whew. That's taking the relationship to a new level, caddy-player relationship. Exchanging numbers. I requested him as a caddy a few more times over the course of the season. Everything was good. Fast forward a little while, and he tells me his dad is coming for a visit and they're going to play some golf in the area. He said that he'd love to show his father this great golf course and he just needs a member to host. He asked if I'd be willing to do that. Now I will admit I've never worked a day as a caddy, but one of my regular caddies tells me this is a cardinal sin of caddying.
Mm-hmm.
Should we stop? What do you think, Andy? I would not be comfortable asking this to a member. My dad's coming.
You gotta be, if you ask this, you have to have already been offered. Like, I'd love to host you. There has to be, that's the line, right? Like the line,
yeah.
you can't, at least from my opinion on how you interact with a member, you don't ask. You only ask if the offer's been made really like multiple times.
Feels a little forward. This seems like a nice place. Yeah, feels a little forward. Anyway, I tell him that the schedule works out. I'd be happy to host he and his father. In hindsight, I admit I should have checked with our head pro to see if this kind of thing was even okay, but I didn't. About 5 days in advance, he texts me and asks if this certain day works for me. I look at the tee sheet and there's a nice tee time available in the morning, so I grab it and tell him that works with my schedule. I added the caddy and his father, as well as a buddy of mine, to round out the foursome. He says great and tells me that he talked to one of his caddy masters about it, and he was going to comp both of our rounds. Oh boy. This led me even more down the primrose path. The assistant caddy master is not only aware of this, but he's comping it. It must be okay, right? So assistant caddy master, comping it, aware of it now. I showed up the morning of the round, and he and his father were in the locker room. It felt slightly awkward because I wasn't even sure if as my guest, they could go wherever they wanted. I asked him, is this okay? And he assured me as long as they were my guests, it was fine. We played golf. They paid for my caddy, which was a nice touch. After the round, I had he and his father up for lunch and a few drinks. It was a proper club experience, and honestly, one I was glad they were able to have together. After lunch, we shook hands, and they thanked me. As I was leaving, I stopped by to say a few words to the caddy master. This was the head caddy master now, and a different guy, the one who told his caddy he'd comp the rounds. I said, hey, I just had so-and-so and his father out, and The assistant caddy master said he'd comp the rounds. Can you mark that on the sheet? He told me that he didn't know anything about it and that I need to talk to the head pro. At this point, I considered just bailing, but I was also feeling a little misled about the whole thing. So I went and spoke with the pro, and he was like, yeah, we don't do that. We have 200 caddies, and they're allowed to play after 3 p.m. if the tee sheet is open. But we don't host them and their fathers, and we certainly don't comp them. He also mentioned that he'd tell this kid that he needs to caddy for me the next 3 or 4 times for free to make up for it if I want it. Not wanting to press the issue, see the quote, no interest in fighting above, or get this kid in trouble, I said okay and left. I guess I've already learned my lesson here and won't be involved in this kind of thing in the future, but what's the play here? Do I text this kid and tell him about $400 in guest fees for he and his dad? Do I get him to caddy for me for free, which seems kind of awkward, but then again, so does telling him that he owes me money? Or do I just eat the loss and chalk this up as the price of trying to be a nice guy? Admittedly, the $400 probably has less impact on my life than it does his, but I do feel a little hard done in this situation. As former caddies, I welcome your thoughts on whether this guy's completely out of line and asking me to host. Also, whether I should try to recoup my losses. Loyal Club TFE number, redact my name. So we already hit on asking, the cardinal sin. We already hit on that. Now get to the losses. And do you ask for money? Do you let it go? Do you take the head pro's suggestion that he caddies for you 3 or 4 times for free? Where are you going?
I just am cutting ties.
Yeah.
It's $400 if you're a member at a place like this. It's, I'm not trying to discount the value of money, but this is a moment because like the problem is if you caddy, it's just going to be awkward if you have him caddy for you for free or you ask
yes.
this like and then after
Indentured servitude
he does the free caddying, like you have to pay him a bunch of times. Like you can't cut bait with the guy. Like at this point, you can move on, and you could tell the caddy master, "Listen, I don't want this guy as my caddy anymore." But like this is the moment where you just have to move on. It was a shitty situation. Learn your lesson. A lot of people go through learning lessons that are way more costly than $400.
I will say the emailer is quite self-aware. He says $400 will have less impact on my life than it does him. So I assume he moved on. You move on. Like no interest in fighting. Just it is. It's not the big. It's shitty. You don't interact with this guy anymore. He's lost the right to sort of have your business, so to speak. But yeah, I'd let this situation pass, and you treated this kid and his dad to a great day, and you don't try to get the losses back. But man, yeah, again,
tough.
The
tough
whole
scene.
process of asking for trying to get on a golf course of where a member is it's you just don't ask. That's a little dicey, right? I mean, it's a little dicey situation, especially if you're the cat. Anyways, separate subculture, separate subcategory of advice. All right. That does it for this Friday episode.
Hold on.
PJ's guy.
Late breaking.
Oh, here we go.
The Champions Tour social media just tweeted out a video, courtesy of the Phoenix Suns, of Stuart Sink holding the ball for the Suns gorilla trampoline dunk at the Phoenix Suns game last night.
They're getting out there in the community.
If anybody's wondering how Schwab Cup Wednesday went for Stu Sink.
They had to send one of the taller guys. You can't send little Sluman over there to hold the ball up for the gorilla. I don't even know if he's in the field. Probably not.
This is an incredible video. Incredible video.
PJ, you're flying out today.
Flying out. I'm getting on a train in 2 hours.
Hey, are you gonna go to the Jets game, or are you gonna ride out Champions Tour Sunday?
Just waiting for the bosses, right?
You keep asking me this question, and I keep not having an answer.
I said the ball's in your court. My words were, this podcast for 5 years has said that has questioned whether this tour should exist.
This feels like a performance review. So what'd you say your biggest weakness is? You're really kind of letting him choose his own adventure here. And what are you going to conclude?
I don't care. I have no care. I never in a million years expected us to be sending somebody to cover a Champions Tour event. So at this point, if we get a day of coverage, if we get 2 days of coverage, not to mention we've been Venmo'd cash for PJ's trip.
I will account for it, and I will Venmo it to you personally, PJ. These are listeners. It's like $86.10 or something like that.
What are you going to spend the $86 on? It could be your Jets ticket.
I was going to say that could get me into the check.
All right. We wish you well. I cannot wait to talk to you about this on Sunday night. Your 3 days at the Schwab Cup Championship.
It could be after a Jets game, or it could be after Dick Green hoists his first Champs Tour win.
That's the thing. We have to monitor the Dick Green situation. If Dick Green is in contention, I feel like I can't bail.
I gotta say, PJ, had a Slack interaction, team Slack. We're going back and forth. Never meet your heroes, Will said. Stay away from Dick Green. And PJ Clark responded. You could tell he might be the first fried egg employee that was like properly trained at a journalism and media school, like proper journalist. He goes, I'm not going all the way to Phoenix to stay away from Dick Green. That's what Will. It's a response to Will Knight. Stay away. So he's a proper reporter. He's not going to be a wallflower. I love that. All right. Enjoy your trip. We'll be back Sunday night. But worst of luck to your Syracuse Orange. And we will talk to you guys on Sunday/Monday.